Gayle Saunders, aka Eagle Sessions, here with Braxton Howard at Brack Shot. That's BRAQ Shot on Twitter. Braxton, what's going on today? How you feeling?
Not much, man. I'm feeling great.
You wrote an article recently on Jawn.com about the secondary. They've had a surprising start for the season, especially the cornerbacks. But you are still a little bit concerned at all the positions on defense. Cornerback has you a little concerned. Why is that?
Just last season they didn't perform very well, and they are young, and I think it's fair to say that entering the season they were the most questionable position group,
Correct.
and the numbers don't show much improvement, just like statistically how many yards they give up per game, although it's only 9 more than what they did last season, but they do. They have 10 interceptions this year compared to 14 that they had all year of last year. They're making plays, and you can see the progression. And you haven't even got a taste to see Ronald Darby or Sidney Jones yet. So they are improving, but I do still think that it's fair to say that they're the most concerning position group on the defense.
Now, out of the cornerbacks this year, who's been the most impressive to you this season?
I think Jalen Mills has just the way that he has just the jump from last season to this season. He's played a lot better. He's out there making plays, and he's no longer a mess when he's out there. He can hold his own.
Jalen Mills is he's a dog, man. He's ever since day one. Even camp last season, I got some video of him throwing a football at Chris Givens' head. He ripped Chris Givens' helmet like halfway off his face, and I'm sitting there in the crowd like, yo, this guy is a rookie. And then he got beat on a play, and then he ended up throwing the football at Chris Givens' head, and I was just like, man, this guy's got a lot of fight. Um, he was he fell in the draft due to some off the field issues, but he's been surprisingly he's they call it DBU for a reason at LSU, but he's played lights out. Another guy that I really beginning of the season I thought would actually start by mid-season, and he started earlier than I thought with the Darby injury. Rasul Douglas. What are your feelings on Rasul Douglas this season?
Man, he's young and he's very impressive. I think out of all the rookie corners, he's definitely up there, and I don't think a lot of people expected him to be with Marshawn Lattimore and just Marlon Humphrey and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really proven. He can hold his own, and he's just a rookie. And that's another thing that is really good about these corners between Darby, Jones, Douglas, and Mills. That's three 23 years old, 23-year-old, and one 21-year-old. So
Yeah.
they're young, and there's a lot of time for improvement. And I think Patrick Robinson, being the vet he is, it's very good to have him on board as well.
Yeah, Russell Douglas did a phenomenal job last season. He transferred from community college, and then got some burn, but then showcased his skills. In the senior year, led the nation in interceptions. Um, he's played phenomenal. I think everyone knocks him for his long speed, but he's physical. I've seen him make a lot of tackles up around the line. He's not afraid to get his nose dirty. Um, uh, like you said, I feel it's great to have a guy like Patrick Robinson who's giving these guys sound advice. But moving forward, like you mentioned Ronald Darby and you mentioned Sidney Jones, where does that leave Jalen Mills and Rasul Douglas?
That's tough because the way Mills has been playing this year, he's probably going to maintain that starting position.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you want there to be position battles. You want those guys to push each other, but you also don't want them to get discouraged if
Right.
they don't start or if they lose a starting job. But just from what I see from those guys, just on social media and stuff, they seem to be a good group, and they seem to push each other. They seem to want each other to do good. So I think I would think that Mills and Darby would probably be the two starters
Okay.
going forward. And as long as they can stay a tight group, I think that they can be really good.
So you're thinking Sidney Jones had the nickel spots? I mean,
Probably they could. I mean, they could move Douglas to safety.
right.
Uh, I wouldn't throw that option out, which would probably put Sidney Jones in the nickel.
Yeah. I mean, um, uh, let's see. Jalen Mills actually had spent some time at LSU at safety, so it'd be interesting if they want to move him back there. But I feel like he's been sound against the run too, but ideally you want a thumper back there. Could Rasul Douglas play that? Perhaps. But then the thoughts of them actually, what are they going to do with Robinson? He's like he's making like 775,000 on the season. I think million together altogether for the season. So, do you bring back Patrick Robinson or you let him walk? I mean, he's been a phenomenal player this season, uh, given the fact that he had a terrible camp. So,
Oh, it's tough because he has played phenomenal this year, but I mean he has been sort of inconsistent throughout his career. So it just depends. And I mean is he 30 years old? I mean he's getting up there,
right.
so you might let him walk with just how young the other guys are and how well they have played so far.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes back on a discount, that would be interesting. I mean, he's played lights out. It's crazy to see how he's played this season. But moving forward, when we're talking about the season, you wrote another article about some of the upcoming games this season. Couple of L's you have penciled in the next couple games that we have coming up. I know the Dallas Cowboys are up. The Cowboys, you had a W on that run, right? Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a W on that. Now more so than ever, with Zeke officially being out, I think it will be a close game, but I feel like the Eagles have what it takes to just pull away. Uh, Coming off a bye week, and I mean their last performance against the Broncos, they showed no signs of weaknesses, and they're playing a all-around worse defense. I think it's fair to say in every position, the Cowboys are probably worse than the Broncos on the defense side of the football. So they are, like I said, it will be a game, but I think that one's pretty easy for the Eagles to win off the
Okay.
bye week.
I like to hear that. After that they have the Seahawks, another a win that you had especially now they're the Richard Sherman less Seahawks. Um, I mean Seahawks have played pretty hot as of late. You have to give hats off to Russell Wilson. He's played lights out. But moving forward, there's the Rams game after that, and that is the big L that you have on. Now, why do you think the Eagles catch a L versus the Rams? And we have a lot of Eagle fans going out to LA to watch that game. So tell us why the Eagles might catch a L.
The Rams are probably I would say that the Eagles and the Rams are the best two teams in the NFC right now. That's my take. I think it will be probably the regular season game to watch in the NFC. It'll be a huge game. Aaron Donald is going to present problems, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what they do on the offensive side with Gurley and Goff. Goff's playing extremely well, and I could see them going down on the road and just taking a loss there.
That's painful, man. But it's funny how what a year, um, the difference a year makes. I think the Rams they have a new leader and the head coach. He's could be up there with Doug Peterson for Coach of the Year. Hats off to him. I think the game planning on his end is phenomenal. He's making players look uh, pretty damn good. One of my favorite players on the Rams is Aaron Donald. I talk about I always talk about interior pressure because I think it's so huge to get a quarterback off his mark. And if you have a guy like Aaron Donald who can just disrupt like nobody's business, and the size of him, he's like what 6 foot, in like 300 run. He could run like a 4.7, 6.
Something like that.
He's a freak like that.
Yeah.
But they also have a running game, but that's interesting. And then moving forward, you also have one other L on the map. We're going to bypass the Giants, W there. We got a W against the Raiders. What's that? Christmas Day, and then on Christmas Eve, the Eagles catch a L going into the new year. And why so?
I mean, by that point, they'll be 13-2, and they're probably going to be the top seed in the NFC heading into the playoffs. So I feel like the starters might play a quarter, if that. They might rest starters. I feel like it would be the smarter decision to rest starters because the Rams already have 2 losses.
Right.
So I mean, they're going to lose another one down the road. You're probably the top seed, so that's why I think they lose to the Cowboys. Kind of how the Eagles beat the Cowboys last year. They rested everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's going to be like that.
I think at the beginning of the season I had them at 10-6, making the playoffs. But this team right now has played lights out. I feel like they're an even keel football team. They play with one heartbeat. That's the best thing I love about this football team. I think they're pretty sound. The leadership has been amazing across the board. Any thoughts on any final thoughts on this team as a whole?
I mean, they've really bought in, and I don't think anyone expected them at this point in the season to be pretty much the consensus best team in the NFL. I mean, the run defense is ridiculous. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't even given up 600 yards this year. I mean,
it's
that's
598
ridiculous.
yards.
That is
I put a tweet out yesterday that the Saints put up 300 yards on the Bills in one game. In 9 weeks, the Eagles have only given up 598 yards. Best run defense in the league, 66 yards a game. Best defense on third down, or the second best defense on third down. It's pretty awesome. So
Ridiculous. And going back to the secondary, they do. I mean, they do have their mishaps. They are young, but like you said, they have that mentality, and I think that helps a lot, especially on third down. Just their mentality takes over, and they all think that. I would assume that they all think that they're the best defense in the league.
yeah, I mean they're all buying in. I mean, plus you got Timmy Jernigan coming back.
Yeah.
More years to come. I just really think they just all played together so well. That front seven is feasting every week. And
Every week.
my favorite thing is watching the mic'd up videos from the NFL.
Yeah.
Because you could actually see how like tightly knit these guys are.
Oh yeah.
So that's great to see.
It is, and I think the NFC. I do feel like if we're going to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. I do feel like the Eagles could make it to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And
You're saying that. You're saying that.
And I'm going to say this too. I really think that whoever they play in the NFC Conference Championship will be a tougher matchup to them than the actual Super Bowl.
Okay. Interesting. You know, it's funny because I've watched these Eagles for so long. I'm all, you know, I'm wearing Kelly green, so you know what era I've been watching since. So obviously, I've seen those defensive fronts that were amazing in the Buddy Ryan era. Um, you look at a Reggie White, you look at a Clyde Simmons and a Jerome Brown. Rest in peace, Reggie White. I mean, I'm not going to say they're at that exact level, but they're as a whole unit, they are pretty damn good. And I saw the 2004 run again when the Eagles got Javon Curse coming off the edge. I felt the Eagles were going to the Super Bowl that year. Um, Fast forward to now, I do have that same special feeling, and I have the feeling when I see them together as a team. I see them enjoying themselves. I see the play calling is up to par these days. Doug Peterson has progressed. Carson Wentz has progressed, and I feel like the league is lining up perfectly to make a run. So I don't know. We've talked about a little bit tonight. We've talked about the secondary. We talked about the upcoming schedule, and now we're talking about the S word. But that's all from me, Gayle Saunders, aka Eagle Sessions, and Braxton Howard doing a lot of good things on Fourth and Jawn. You can follow him on Twitter at BRAQ on Twitter. Doing a lot of doing the Lord's work on Fourth and Jawn. But I'm Gayle Saunders. That's Braxton, and we'll see you guys soon.